Liquidity support proposal for St. Martin is now on the table for the period up to June 30th, 2020. President of the Collectivité, Daniel Gibbs, says it is now up to the French state to take responsibility for border management. But first up, President of Parliament says the border shutdown is very unfortunate as it tramples on a lot of history of our country. Those are the headlines for Monday, May the 18th, 2020. This is SXM Daily News. I'm Valerie Van Putten. Thank you so much for joining me this evening. And as usual, we have a packed newscast for you this evening, so let's get started. A border control protest was organized on Sunday, May the 17th by unknown persons, but President of Parliament Rolanda Bryson, who attended the border control protest on Sunday last, along with 2 members of Parliament, addressed his concerns with the ongoing border control. According to the President of Parliament, it is very unfortunate as it tramples on a lot of history of our country. He stands with both sides.
It's very unfortunate. I mean, it tramples on a lot of history when it comes to our country and what has been caused to even make this border a possibility to flow. And I stand with both sides of the island and say, listen, let's find a safe, proper way to do this. And I'm really proud of my government for coming forward and saying, listen, for what we can control, we will. We have a lot. We have our people here that have been working so hard, in the sun all these days doing it. It's time to now focus on the safety of our side of the island and hope that eventually they can wake up and realize, listen, it's not necessary. Not right now. It was necessary for a time, perhaps. Not right now, and hopefully never again.
And no matter what you say, no matter what you do, there's going to be a second wave no matter what.
That's the thing. You see, it's whether it's a second or third wave, it is an unpredictable virus. Exactly. We are still learning as we go. Every country around the world is figuring this out. Everybody has tried a different way. Sweden is like the opposite of most people. They said, we're not doing any lockdown. We're just staying closed altogether. Some countries have done extreme full lockdowns. But one thing is common in all countries. Coronavirus has unfortunately killed a person in every country in the world. And that's really what we're trying to figure out as a world. How are we going to come out of this stronger and better? Because it is something that we have to start to think, are there more pandemics on the way? Now that the world is the way it is, how do we prepare for it? And then today, I read in the news this morning, God forbid, and I'm praying that we don't have this issue, but the first tropical storm of the season was formed today. And the official hurricane season even started yet. So we have to start thinking beyond as well. And it's unfortunate that, we're supposed to now take this opportunity to come together and say this is what St. Martin believes is best for St. Martin. Not Dutch St. Martin, French St. Martin. How are we going to work together for the hurricane? How are we going to prepare for this pandemic? How are we going to get our economy back? Get people working, get people back in a rhythm of St. Martin. So it's going to take both sides. We can't do it alone on this side. Your government can't do it alone either. And I hope, and I've said it last time when I supported the French side with the protest they had there, I said the same thing is happening again. You have people in offices thousands of miles away making decisions just behind some computer, and they're just looking at a fictional border and saying, yeah, this is what we're going to do. Many people have not even, the decision makers have not even set foot on this island. A few months ago, we had some European parliamentarians that were on the island, and they came to visit me at Parliament. And we drove around the island, and when we were coming here, I said, okay, we're about to enter France. They started to pull out their passports. I said, no, that's not necessary. Even St. Martin, they didn't even know that. These are the parliamentarians in the highest Europe. Dutch and French parliamentarians. Oh, I didn't know. They were ready to pull out their passports. So, of course, if you have that coming here, they probably think the same thing. They find it strange. The people that are working for the French government. St. Martin is a unique, beautiful place that takes our own lifetime is not enough to learn what St. Martin really is.
And the President of Parliament also fielded questions about the reopening of the schools. Mr. Bryson feels that there is a fundamental right when it comes to education. He said the preface statement is a blatant discrimination.
And with the schools opening, children from both sides, go
Yeah.
to school on both sides. This is going to be a problem. This is not sustainable.
There's a fundamental right when it comes to education, right? And then I read, and I hope it was not the case, but I read a quote online from the prefect that, no, but we're going to open, and then the ones from the Dutch side could follow online. That is blatant discrimination. You are disadvantaging the right of education by saying you could stay home behind your computer, and the others could come and ask questions to the teacher in a proper classroom. If everybody needed to do the online classes, or if parents believe for the safety of their child or for the high risk of their child, they choose to let the child stay home, that is one thing. I think the cross-border movement is a reality. You can't change that with one virus. You can't change somebody that lives on the French side and works on the Dutch side, or vice versa. They can't just find an apartment tomorrow. But they can't just switch their child's school.
But do you think it's because of the control that they are giving families money?
I don't
have their children go
Yeah.
to French school, because on the French system, that's the way it is. The families that go to school, they get preventions, and due to the fact that they get in that and they're living on the other side, do you think that is one of the problems?
I'll be honest, I am not as familiar with the French system in terms of that. I'm only familiar with the Dutch side. We don't have such a system. There's social, affairs that can assist if you need help with schools. We have public schools that are available to those as well. I don't know the dynamics of the motivations. I would believe, though, knowing St. Martin, it is very normal that although I live all my life on the Dutch side, but maybe I went to school, lycée, when I was a young man, and I want my child to go there. That's just the way my family has done it. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe my child, I live on the French side, but when I went to St. Martin Academy, I knew many of my colleagues in the school were from the French side, because for generations, that was what they used to do. So it don't have to be a money thing. It could just also be a personal choice, a cultural expression, a tradition. It could be many of those things.
And regarding immigration control, President of Parliament says that while he agrees that we do have an immigration problem, this is not where the border issue is. The border issue is at the Princess Juliana International Airport and at the Grand Cars Airport.
But we do have a problem with immigration. Do you not?
Yes.
Do you not think we have a problem with immigration?
Yes, we have a problem with immigration, but not here.
Yep.
This is not where the border issue is. The border issue is in Juliana and in Grand Cars.
From this day forward, seeing that how the border was controlled like this, with all the emphasis with the French and Dutch, from today, will the airport in Juliana and the airport in Grand Cars get that same attention in immigration?
I would certainly hope so. I would certainly hope the attention, especially as we go toward de-escalating, that those is where the energy should be. You know, heat temperature meters. I went to a test recently where they have now these scanners, full infrared, that could test exactly your temperature and everything. Look, it's not a foolproof system. I mean, you can be asymptomatic and still carry the virus, but you have to try to do everything possible at your real borders. This is not a border. This is not, to me, where the emphasis should be. I would like to see that energy placed at our borders that have the risk, which is the
The
Juliana
system
and
of
Grand Cars.
immigration also on the airport, on an international airport, you allow people to come in with visas and different documents,
Yes.
even to come in even on vacation. What proof do you have that they leave the country? Because apparently through your international airport, this has been happening all the time. People come in, y'all don't keep track on them because y'all don't have a proper tracking system. They cross the border, they make children, they get into the French system, which is not allowed to discriminate after they make children. This is becoming a problem.
No, technology could help a lot with that. One of the things that we were setting up just before the hurricane, I don't know if some people recently before the hurricane were traveling, there's these new things called e-gates. So before you even enter to go to immigration, the justice system already has scanned your passport and been able to check, has this person entered illegally
San
before,
Domingo is a third world
etc.
country and they do it, and they're not doing it in St. Martin, which allows just Tom, Dick, and Harry to come in.
Well,
why is it not being done?
We have a lot of improvements to make. You need technology. That's the main thing. You can't just read someone's passport and figure it out. I mean, now you have the opportunity with technology to be able to create a database of who is safe and who is unsafe. I don't think, as a tourism destination, let's be realistic, if you're going to just create a super stringent system for entering and exiting, you can cause other problems as well. So you don't want to make Just like people saying with coronavirus, the cure worse than the disease.
So what you're saying, we have our highs and we have our lows.
Yes, and we have to figure out that's the tough decisions that we as politicians will get criticized for, because sometimes we make some decisions that help in one area, but then we realize it hurt in another way. We have to find a balance. That's our job as leaders to do it.
And still to come, Councilman of the MJP says people are crying out and are upset. We'll have the details to that story and more when SXM Daily News returns.
GEBE has been faithfully serving the communities of St. Martin, powering your home and our economy. Come rain or shine, our qualified team of professionals are working hard 24 hours a day to provide you and your family with safe, reliable electricity and water. We use the latest technologies and test our products daily to maintain the highest international standards. Our friendly staff is always there to assist you, whether in person, over the phone, or online. We are committed to constantly improving our products and services, making them more efficient, effective, and environmentally friendly to serve you better today and our next generation of clients tomorrow. GEBE, powering a brighter future.
Our friend Megawati is here with tips to save you energy. 1. Turn your airco temperature up. 2. Use a ceiling fan instead. 3. Buy energy-saving products. Save some green with NVGEBE.
And as we continue now with news out of French St. Martin, President of the Collectivité, Daniel Gibbs, said Sunday, it is now up to the French state to take responsibility for border management following the decision by Dutch Prime Minister the Honorable Sylvia Jacobs and her government on Saturday to lift border controls as of May the 18th. Following the Dutch side cabinet decision, President Gibbs immediately contacted Minister for Overseas Territories, Annick Girardin, to explain the situation in Dutch St. Martin and to inform her of the position of the collectivité's elected officials and asked for France to put an end to border controls in line with Dutch St. Martin. President Gibbs said during preliminary discussions in a tripartite meeting on Thursday, May the 14th, that Prime Minister Jacobs had already expressed her wish to end border controls as of Monday, May the 18th, while Prefect Sylvie Fauchère wished to continue these controls. He said the collectivité has no decision-making power in the matter. However, from the beginning of the crisis, as elected representatives, he and First Vice President Valérie Damaso had participated in the weekly tripartite meetings in a spirit of cooperation and fraternity to share the collectivité's vision. At the meeting of May 14th, we informed our counterparts of our favorable opinion on the principle of stopping controls. President Gibbs explained. He proposed to the competent authorities that the decision could be taken in the course of the following week, depending on the results of the latest screening campaigns by both parties, while the whole island has now entered the de-escalation phase. The collectivité is playing its role in the cooperation between sovereign states with the aim of harmonizing decisions as much as possible. He said border controls had been instituted for reasons of health emergencies that no longer exist today. The current health resources, both French and Dutch, have been strengthened and should now be able to cope with the occurrence of new cases, he said. The island's population must resume their working and living habits while respecting the hygiene measures that are now part of our daily lives. President Gibbs said that the collectivité and the Dutch side government are on the same page for relaunching the economy and executing a successful exit from lockdown, while the next challenge will be to reopen the international air borders for the return of tourists. And as we continue with more news out of French St. Martin, councilman and leader of the MJP, Louis Mussington, who attended a border control protest, said he is in solidarity with St. Martin. He reiterated his concern for the locals who are not permitted to cross the borders. He says people are crying out and are upset with the fact that they do not have access to the southern side.
I'll begin by saying I like how you describe the situation. People have been crying out. I've received numerous phone calls. I've seen many persons on the northern side who are upset with the fact that they do not have access to the southern side. And it is for such reason that I'm here this morning. I don't know who put out the initiative, but I welcome it, and I'm here in solidarity with St. Martin, not the French side or the northern side, nor the southern side. I'm in solidarity with St. Martin. I must say that I'm very pleased with the bold and courageous decision that was taken by the Council of Ministers in the South, and I just see the the President of Parliament there as well. It shows that we are very sensitive to the cries and the concern of the people. Some of the things that people are complaining. The senior citizens are saying we can't have access to our pension fund. We work all our years. Now it's time that we inherit our benefit, but they can't have access to the South to able to collect their benefits. They are saying that they always work with the banks in the South. They can't have access. Their money are running out. They are also concerned about the fact that people got paid. They have their check, they can't get to their bank to deposit their check. The doctor card is of no use to them because they cannot go to a doctor on the northern side with a doctor card. Same way they can't get to the drugstore, the pharmacy to pick up their medication. Some again complaining we have family issues to discuss with our families in the South. We can't have access to them. So I don't see the logic in having, even though I questioned why it was closed in the beginning, but I could pass up on that to question today, why is it that the prefect Fisher see it fit today to maintain the border control or the closure of the border. Let's call a spade, the closure of the border. It seems more that it's a high-handed approach which you want to assess our authority on the northern side of the island. Because if the South made a decision, a wise and intelligent decision to say we don't close it, we don't reopen it, why you want to insist? The figures are there to confirm that things are moving in a positive direction. Let's thank God for that and continue the campaign to sensitize the common man so that he could take all the necessary measures in terms of social distancing, washing your hands, all those measures still need to be reinforced because the virus is still in the air. But in terms of economic activity and maintaining, preserving the cultural heritage and history of our country, now more than ever we need to lift the border, the blockade. And to me, never in the future, and from now to eternity, we should never consider this situation that we are living now as an option. Never. This monument there is just a symbolic structure, nothing more. The oneness, the unity of our people has to be preserved at all costs, and it is our duty as a people of the northern and the southern side who have to carry on that legacy.
Meanwhile, the prefecture on Sunday repeated its call for utmost vigilance to avoid a resurgence of the coronavirus as 2 new confirmed COVID-19 cases and 2 probable cases were confirmed on Saturday. A new case was confirmed on Saturday last, which shows the persistence of sporadic cases occurring in the territory, it said in a release. In addition, a patient from the Dutch side was hospitalized last Saturday night at the Louis Constant Fleming Hospital, forcing the hospital to reopen the COVID unit. The 2 probable cases were also admitted on Saturday to the same unit and are also awaiting results. According to the release, the Dutch side has 8 active cases, including a new one on May the 12th, for a total of 77 cumulative cases and 15 deaths, compared to 40 cumulative cases and 3 deaths in French St. Martin since the beginning of the crisis. The French side ordered a full lockdown on March the 16th and Dutch St. Martin on April the 4th. On April 4th, in order to slow down the spread of the virus on the 2 territories and in response to the complete shutdown put in place by the Dutch side government 2 weeks after the first lockdown measures on the French side, St. Martin Prime Minister Sylvia Jacobs, President of the Collectivité Daniel Gibbs, and Prefect Sylvie Faucher decided by mutual agreement to limit border crossings. It was agreed that they should continue until the health situation had been completely brought under the control. Waivers for professional reasons were issued to maintain the island's economic activity. The meeting with the government of St. Martin held on Thursday, May 14th, planned a new meeting for Wednesday, May the 20th, to draw up a first health assessment of the de-escalation measures put in place on each side. The success of this phase of progressive de-escalation should lead to the lifting of controls in complete safety on June the 2nd, 2020. The government of St. Martin decided to abolish the controls carried out on its territory, which means the French authorities must be extremely vigilant given the still active circulation of the virus on the island and, in the context of the French side de-escalation or reopening of primary schools, resumption of economic activities, access to beaches, and opening of restaurants. The health of the population is the only argument that guides our decisions. It is for this reason population movement between the two parts of the island have been limited. French St. Martin is still in a fragile health context and therefore has decided to maintain strict control between the two parts of the island for the next few days. Entry onto the French side of the island is only possible with the presentation of a certificate. Checks carried out by the Gendarmerie and Border Police will be maintained in Bellevue after the commercial zone on the RN7 and in the French Quarter district. Access via Terrebas and Bay Uri or Oshipon remains blocked. Each person must be in possession of a certificate justifying entry into the territory of French St. Martin, issued by the Prefecture for compelling professional, health, or family reasons, and Form C, issued prior to May 16th by the government of Dutch St. Martin. The Prefecture will rapidly propose to the government of Dutch St. Martin to examine, in conjunction with the collectivité, the conditions that would make it possible to lift these last controls on travel to the French side, in particular with regards to screening and follow-up of contact cases, as well as respect of hygiene measures and wearing of masks in public places, on public transport, and establishments open to the public. Now turning to our weather forecast for May the 18th, 2020. A gentle to moderate wind flow will persist across the region due to a weak Atlantic high-pressure system. A relatively stable atmosphere will continue to restrict precipitation. Seas will remain slight to moderate through the next few days. Outlook through Wednesday midday, partly cloudy with a few scattered showers. Now let's turn to your 3-day forecast. And still to come, General Secretary of the WICSU PSU says he is in solidarity and wants to help. You'll have the details of that story and more when SXM Daily News returns.
Make use of WIB mobile banking with easy access and direct usage of face recognition, PIN code, or fingerprint. Download WIB mobile banking app and make your transaction from anywhere at any time. For more information, visit wib-bank.net/quick-login.
And as we continue now with more news, this item out of The Hague. The liquidity support proposal for St. Martin is now on the table for the period up to June 30th, 2020. It concerns an amount of 53 million guilders, about 26.5 million euros. Decision-making by the Kingdom Council of Ministers has been deferred, and St. Martin has until this Wednesday, May the 20th, to let The Hague know if it agrees with the conditions that come with this interest-free loan. Of this amount, which the Kingdom Council of Ministers had on the agenda for decision-making on Friday, 24 million guilders, about 12 million euros, was meant for budgetary support, and the other 29 million guilders, about 14.5 million euros, was for wage subsidy for employers and employees in St. Martin. The 29 million guilder wage subsidy would become available after the St. Martin government has given content to the requested 20% reduction contribution of employees receiving the wage subsidy. The Committee for Financial Supervision, CFT, has advised the Kingdom Council of Ministers to grant the amounts for the wage subsidy of 29 million guilders until St. Martin has introduced a 20% contribution of employees by reducing their working hours by 20%. According to the CFT, the implementation of shorter working hours and the 20% reduction of wage subsidy will save St. Martin government money, as a result of which the monthly cost of the wage subsidy can be reduced to 18.6 million guilders or 17.7 million without the airport workers. Meanwhile, General Secretary of the WICSU PSU, Reichnald Bakari Arundel, says he is in solidarity and wants to help. However, there is a procedure. We have to go through all kinds of budgets, Mr. Arundel says, and he was at the time speaking on People's Voice on Sunday last with Wendell Moore, which is aired on PJD2 Radio, the voice of St. Martin.
Look, we want to be, and we are in solidarity. We want to help, but there is a procedure. Mm-hmm. There is a procedure. We've had to go through skeleton budgets, shotgun budgets, now it's bullet budgets and all sorts of things. Yeah. And at the end of the day, the workers who are responsible for producing the essential goods and services to serve the public are being asked yet again, Mr. Moore, to take a cut. And we don't even know, because one could say it's only for 6 months. But remember, for the turnover tax, it was said, it will be for a short period of time. Mm-hmm. And today the turnover tax is still with us, Mr. Moore.
Plus additional amounts.
There are a number of concerns with regards to the manner in which this process unfolded. Mm-hmm. And then there's the harsh realities, because if civil servants are being asked to part with this cherished benefit, does that mean that automatically the cost of living on St. Martin will be reduced? Does that mean that they will have to continue working the 40, 50 hours a week at a reduced pay, Mr. Moore?
Mm-hmm. All right.
So one question begs the other.
Uh-huh. All right.
One question begs the other. And again, in these particular matters, the spirit of dialogue must prevail.
And still to come, SZV holds virtual general staff meeting on COVID-19 impact. We'll have the details to that story when SXM Daily News returns. And GEBE hereby reminds the general public that their offices are now open to the public from Monday to Friday. The Phillipsburg main office from 7:45 a.m. to 3 p.m. The branch office in Simpson Bay, 7:45 a.m. to 2 p.m. As they continue to monitor the COVID-19 virus, they hereby inform you that all services are available online, through email assistance, or via telephone. And as we end this edition of SXM Daily News for this evening, on Friday, May the 15th, Social and Health Insurance's SZV Director, Mr. Glenn Carty, addressed nearly 113 SZV employees in an interactive video conference call. Over the past 2 months, SZV employees have been working remotely to maintain services to customers. While daily virtual meetings have already become the norm at SZV, the virtual general staff meeting was organized to have an inclusive exchange with all employees on the global uncertainties related to COVID-19 and the impact on St. Martin. SZV employees chimed in during the virtual meeting with recommendations to continue offering online and phone services to customers. Cost-cutting measures, the importance of using technology to improve data management, and syncing data with government entities to improve compliance. And with that, viewers, we've come to the end of this edition of SXM Daily News. I'm Valerie Van Putten, and just a reminder that this and other programs are available online. Simply log on to stmartinmediacenter.com for viewing. And on behalf of the SXM Daily News team, we thank you for watching and plan on meeting you right back here again tomorrow.